The text came through at 11:47 p.m. on my 69th birthday. I sat in the dark kitchen of the mansion Eleanor and I had designed 30 years ago, staring at my phone screen like it might suddenly rearrange the words into something that made sense, something that didn't feel like a knife between my ribs. "We need some space. Stop messaging us." 5 words from my son Leo. 5 words that erased decades of Christmas mornings, Little League games, college tuition payments, and every damn sacrifice Eleanor and I had made to give him the life he took for granted. The notification below it made my chest tighten. Chloe liked this message. His wife. Of course she did. I had sent one text earlier that day. Just one. "Thank you for the birthday wishes," with a smiley face, because no wishes had come. Not a call, not a card, nothing. I had hoped the gentle sarcasm might prompt some guilt, some acknowledgement that they had forgotten. Instead, I got this. I sat there in the silence of my 6,000-square-foot house, the moonlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows Eleanor had insisted on, and felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart breaking. That would have been cleaner, simpler. This was different. This was the sound of whatever had been holding me back from the truth finally giving way. My children did not love me. They loved my money. I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon, Eleanor's favorite, and pulled up my contacts. David Brennan, attorney, friend, the man who had helped me build Thorne Architectural Hardware from a 2-man operation into a $50 million empire. He answered on the second ring, voice groggy. "Elias, it's midnight." "I need you to prepare some documents," I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Calm, cold, nothing like the man who had spent the evening hoping his phone would ring. "What kind of documents?" "The kind that will teach my son what it means to stand on his own 2 feet. There was a pause. David knew me well enough not to ask if I was sure. "I will have them ready by Monday. Come to the office at 9. I hung up and blocked Leo's number, then Chloe's. Then I opened my banking app and did something I should have done years ago. I froze their access to the family trust. $73 million, locked away from their grasping hands with a few taps of my finger. The trust Eleanor and I had established when Leo was born, meant to provide for him and his future children. The trust that had been funding their penthouse in Manhattan, their luxury cars, their shopping sprees, their entire existence. Gone. I finished my bourbon and went to bed. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. The calls started at 6:15 a.m. I woke to my phone buzzing like an angry hornet on the nightstand. Leo's name flashed on the screen, but the call did not go through. Blocked. Good. By 7 o'clock, he had tried 43 times. I made coffee in the mealy machine Eleanor had picked out, the one Leo had called pretentious during his last visit 3 years ago. I scrambled eggs. I read the Wall Street Journal on my tablet. I ignored the growing number of missed call notifications. At 8:30, my doorbell rang. I looked at the security camera feed on my phone. Leo and Chloe stood on my front porch, both wearing what I recognized as $1,000 outfits. Leo paced like a caged animal. Chloe kept checking her phone, her face twisted in that perpetual expression of annoyance she wore like a second skin. I did not answer the door. "Dad!" Leo's voice came through the intercom, sharp with panic. "Dad, open up! We need to talk!" I sipped my coffee and watched them on the screen. "This is insane!" Chloe said, loud enough for the intercom to pick up. "He cannot just cut us off. We have bills, we have commitments." "He is punishing us," Leo said, running his hands through his hair. "Over a stupid text message. This is crazy." I set down my coffee cup and pressed the intercom button. "You wanted space. I am giving you space. Please leave my property." "Dad, come on." Leo's voice cracked. "We can talk about this. I did not mean—" "You meant every word," I released the button and muted the intercom. They stayed on my porch for another 20 minutes, Leo alternating between pleading and shouting, Chloe making frantic phone calls. Eventually, they left. The missed calls continued. By noon, the count had reached 97. I drove to David's office in Hartford, taking the back roads through the Connecticut countryside. Autumn had painted the trees in shades of rust and gold, Eleanor's favorite time of year. She used to make me stop the car just to take pictures of particularly beautiful stretches of forest. "You are really doing this," David said when I walked into his office. It was not a question. "I am really doing this." He slid a folder across his mahogany desk. "I have prepared 3 options. The first is a temporary freeze, pending a family meeting and mediation. The second is a permanent restructuring of the trust, with strict conditions for access. The third is a complete dissolution," I said, "with the assets redirected to a charitable foundation." David nodded slowly. "That is the nuclear option, Elias. Once you do this, there is no going back." "Good." I opened the folder and scanned the documents. "What about the properties?" "The Manhattan penthouse is in the trust's name. If you dissolve the trust, they lose it. Same with the Audi and the BMW. Both are trust assets." "Excellent." "Elias." David leaned forward, his expression serious. "I have known you for 35 years. I have never seen you act out of spite. Are you sure this is not just a reaction to a thoughtless text message?" I met his eyes. "It is not about the text. It is about the fact that my son is 32 years old and has never held a job longer than 6 months. It is about the fact that his wife has spent more on handbags this year than most families earn in a decade. It is about the fact that when Eleanor died 2 years ago, Leo showed up to the funeral an hour late because he was closing on a boat purchase. A boat he bought with trust money." David sat back in his chair. "I see. I enabled this. Eleanor and I both did. We wanted to give him everything we did not have growing up. Instead, we created a parasite. And you think cutting him off completely will fix that?" "No," I said. "But it will stop me from being complicit in his failure to become a man." I signed the papers, all of them. The nuclear option. The penthouse was the first thing to go. I did not witness it personally, but David's assistant sent me photos. The building management had changed the locks at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, exactly 48 hours after I signed the dissolution papers. By New York law, the trust's termination meant the property reverted to my direct control, and I had authorized its immediate sale to a tech executive for $4.2 million. Leo and Chloe had been locked out while at brunch. The missed calls hit 200 by Wednesday. Then the emails started. Long, rambling messages from Leo, alternating between rage and desperation. Chloe's were shorter, more calculating. She wanted to negotiate. There was nothing to negotiate. On Thursday, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. "Mr. Thorne, this is Detective Amy Walsh with the Hartford Police Department. Your son has filed a report claiming you have stolen property from him." I almost laughed. "What property would that be, Detective?" "He claims you have illegally seized assets that belong to him, including a vehicle and access to bank accounts." "Detective Walsh, I assume you have done your homework before calling me. Did Leo happen to mention that every asset he is claiming as his own was purchased with trust fund money? Money that I established and controlled? Money that I have every legal right to redirect as I see fit?" There was a pause. He may have left out those details. I thought so. My attorney is David Brennan at Brennan & Associates. If you have further questions, please direct them to him. Otherwise, I would appreciate not being harassed by law enforcement over my son's refusal to accept responsibility for his own life. "Understood, Mr. Thorne. I apologize for the inconvenience." She hung up. I made a note to send David a heads-up email, then went back to the architectural plans I had been reviewing. Thorne Architectural Hardware had a major project in Boston, and I was not going to let my personal drama interfere with business. That evening I got a text from an unfamiliar number. "Please, Dad. We are desperate. We have nowhere to go. Chloe is pregnant." I stared at that last sentence for a long moment. Chloe was pregnant. My first grandchild, supposedly. And Leo thought this would change my mind. I deleted the message and blocked the number. The private detective showed up on Saturday. I was in the garden, pruning the roses Eleanor had planted the year before she died, when I noticed a man taking pictures of my house from the street. He was not subtle about it. Expensive camera, business casual clothes, the kind of studied nonchalance that screamed professional snooper. I walked to the front gate, pruning shears still in hand. "Can I help you?" He lowered the camera and gave me a practiced smile. "Mr. Thorne, I am Gary Mitchell. I have been hired by your son to document certain irregularities regarding the family trust." Irregularities. I kept my voice flat. "You mean the fact that I dissolved a trust that I created and funded entirely with my own money? Your son believes there may be grounds for legal action regarding the sudden termination without proper notice." My son is wrong. The trust documents contain a clause allowing for immediate dissolution at my discretion. Your services are not needed here, Mr. Mitchell. Please leave before I call the actual police. He held up his hands in mock surrender. "Just doing my job, sir. Do it somewhere else." He left, but not before taking a few more photos. I made another call to David. "They hired a PI, I told him. Let me guess. Gary Mitchell? You know him? He is the go-to guy for rich kids trying to squeeze money out of their parents. He will find nothing, Elias. The trust documents are airtight. I wrote them myself." "Good. However," David continued, "you should be prepared for them to escalate. Leo is desperate, and desperate people make noise. He might try to get a sympathetic reporter interested in a story about a wealthy father cutting off his pregnant daughter-in-law. Let him try. The truth is a pretty good defense. The truth does not always matter in the court of public opinion. Then it is fortunate I do not give a damn about public opinion." David chuckled. "Fair enough. One more thing. I received a request from Leo's attorney. They want a face-to-face meeting, mediation. They are willing to apologize." "No. Elias, no. If they want to apologize, they can do it in writing, and then they can prove it by getting jobs and supporting themselves. I am done with meetings. I am done with their manipulation. I am done, David." There was a long silence. "Understood. I will relay your decision." That night, I sat in Eleanor's favorite chair, a worn leather recliner that faced the fireplace, and thought about the last real conversation I had with my son. It had been 8 months ago, at Easter dinner. Leo had come alone. Chloe had been too busy with a spa weekend in Vermont. "Dad, I have been thinking," Leo had said over dessert. "Maybe it is time to restructure the trust. Give me more direct control. I am 32. I should not have to ask permission every time I want to access my own money. It is not your money," I had said. "It is the family's money. It is meant to provide for you, yes, but also to ensure there is something left for your children and your children's children." That is so old-fashioned. We could be growing this money, investing it. I have been talking to some people. No. Dad, you are not even listening. I am listening. And the answer is no. The trust stays as it is. Leo had left early. I had not heard from him again until my birthday text. I should have seen it coming. All the signs were there. But I had been too focused on my own grief, too wrapped up in the empty house and the memories of Eleanor, to notice that my son had been circling like a vulture, waiting for me to weaken. I fell asleep in the chair. When I woke, it was 3 a.m., and my phone showed 117 missed calls. They came back on Monday. This time, they brought a lawyer. I watched on the security camera as a woman in a severe black suit rang my doorbell with Leo and Chloe, flanking her like bodyguards. The lawyer stood with the rigid composure of someone who spent her life turning human pain into billable hours. Leo's hair was too neatly combed, Chloe wore a cream coat that probably cost more than their car. They looked rehearsed, as if this confrontation were a scene they'd practiced on the drive over. For a moment, I considered ignoring them. Pretend I wasn't home. Let them stew in the autumn wind until they left. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, especially for an old man with too much time and too many regrets. I wanted to see what new tactic they had cooked up, what angle they would try next. I pressed the intercom. "Yes?" "Mr. Thorne," said the woman. Her voice was smooth, practiced. "My name is Patricia Gaines. I represent your son and daughter-in-law. We would like to discuss a resolution to this unfortunate situation." "There is nothing to discuss. Please leave." "Mr. Thorne," she continued, tone unflinching, "my clients are prepared to take this matter to court if necessary. However, we believe that a family dispute of this nature would be better served by private mediation. We are not asking for everything to be restored immediately. We simply want an opportunity to make things right." A flicker of something almost admirable passed through me. She was good at her job. Calm, controlled, detached. I wondered what she'd charge them for the performance. I pressed the gate release button. "You have 5 minutes." They walked up the curved driveway, their footsteps echoing off the stone like an approaching verdict. Leo's expression was a mix of hope and anxiety, like a man who both wants and fears absolution. Chloe's face was a mask of carefully controlled rage, though her trembling hands betrayed her composure. Patricia, the lawyer, maintained her professional neutrality, clipboard in hand like a shield. I met them at the front door but did not invite them in. The threshold between us was not just physical, it was symbolic, and I wasn't about to let them cross it. "Say what you came to say." Patricia handed me a folder. Its edges were too crisp, the paper too thick, like everything about this visit was designed to appear legitimate. "We have prepared a proposal," she said. "My clients acknowledge that mistakes were made. They are willing to accept a structured repayment plan for the support they received from the trust. In exchange, they are asking for a partial restoration of access, specifically to cover housing and medical expenses related to the pregnancy." Pregnancy. The word hit me like a whisper through glass. Soft, fragile, and dangerous if handled wrong. I flipped through the proposal without really reading it. Legal jargon, calculated remorse. "No. Mr. Thorne, please." "No." I closed the folder and held it out to her. "You want to know why? Because this," I tapped the cover, "is not an apology. This is a negotiation. This is them trying to find a way to keep taking my money while giving back as little as possible. I am not interested." Leo's voice cracked. "Dad, we are going to have a baby. Your grandchild. Do you really want them to grow up knowing you threw us out on the street?" "I did not throw you out on the street," I said evenly. "I stopped subsidizing your lifestyle. There is a difference. You have a college degree. Chloe has a college degree. You are both perfectly capable of earning a living." Leo's jaw tightened. "We can't afford—" "Then you will learn to live within your means, like every other adult in this country." Chloe stepped forward. Her tears were sudden and perfect, like she'd practiced the timing. "Please," she whispered. "I'm scared. I don't know how we're going to manage. We have nothing saved. We've been relying on my generosity," I finished for her, "which you repaid by telling me to stop messaging you, on my birthday, after I lost my wife 2 years ago, and you could not be bothered to check on me more than twice." The tears vanished as quickly as they'd come. Her face went blank, a mask resetting. "That's what this is about?" Patricia asked, her tone clipped. "A text message?" I laughed. It was a brittle, humorless sound. "No. This is about 32 years of enabling a child who never learned to stand on his own. This is about finally accepting that I failed as a father by making things too easy. And this," I said, my voice lowering, "is about refusing to repeat that mistake with another generation." I handed the folder back to Patricia. Your 5 minutes are up. She hesitated. We will sue, she said. We will take this to court. And we will win. No, I said softly. You will not. The trust documents are airtight. David Brennan does not make mistakes, but please, waste whatever money you have left on legal fees. It will be an expensive lesson in reality. I closed the door. Through the camera, I watched them walk back down the driveway. The image was tinted blue from the monitor, 3 figures shrinking against the gray afternoon. Leo kept looking back, his expression lost, like a boy who'd just realized his father was mortal. Chloe was already on her phone, probably texting someone about how heartless I was. Patricia shook her head and said something I couldn't hear. They drove away. I stood in the foyer long after the gate closed, the echo of their visit hanging in the air like smoke. The house was silent again. The silence used to comfort me. It was clean, predictable, obedient. Now it just felt heavy. My reflection in the glass of the security screen looked older than I remembered, like the confrontation had carved new lines into my face. I made coffee just to have something to do. The grinder's noise filled the void, harsh and mechanical. The smell reminded me of mornings with Eleanor, her robe trailing behind her, hair undone, humming tunelessly while flipping through the newspaper. It was unbearable and beautiful all at once. When the coffee was ready, I sat by the window overlooking the garden. The leaves had turned early this year, burnt orange, red, gold. The wind moved through them like whispered disapproval. I imagined Eleanor sitting across from me, her expression somewhere between pity and reprimand. You could have been kinder, she would have said. They needed to hear the truth, I would have answered. You wanted to hurt them. No, I'd say, but the lie would hang in the air, obvious and ugly, because maybe I did want to hurt them, just a little, to make them feel a fraction of the neglect I'd felt since she died, to remind them that I still existed, even if it was only as a source of disappointment. The lawyer's words replayed in my mind. A family dispute of this nature would be better served by private mediation. As if any mediator could bridge 30 years of resentment, dependency, and guilt. As if healing could be scheduled between depositions. By late afternoon, the house had settled back into its usual stillness. The light shifted, long and amber through the tall windows. I tried to read but couldn't focus. Every sentence blurred into another memory. Leo's first bicycle. Chloe's laughter echoing through the garden the day they announced the engagement. Eleanor's hand in mine at the hospital. I turned on the security feed again. The camera still faced the driveway. Empty. Just wind moving through the pines. For a moment I imagined the car returning. Leo alone this time, no lawyer, no scripts. Just my son. Maybe we'd sit on the porch and talk. Not about money. Not about blame. Just talk. But the screen stayed empty. I closed my eyes. I'd thought cutting them off would bring peace. Instead, it brought clarity. Peace and clarity are not the same thing. Clarity is colder, sharper. It shows you what's left when all illusions burn away. I thought of the grandchild Chloe mentioned, a future face I'd probably never see. A small heartbeat caught between 2 generations of stubbornness. Maybe one day, when they've run out of excuses and entitlement, Leo will remember this moment differently, not as cruelty, but as the first time someone refused to save him. Maybe he'll understand that love sometimes looks like rejection. But not today. Today, I was the villain in their story, and maybe that was fine. Someone had to be. I poured the rest of my coffee down the sink. It had gone cold hours ago. Outside, the last light of day slipped behind the hills, and the security lights blinked on one by one, washing the driveway in sterile white. Somewhere beyond those gates, my son was telling himself he'd done the right thing by hiring a lawyer. Somewhere, Chloe was crafting her version of the story for whoever would listen. And somewhere, Deep beneath the anger, I wondered if they were both just as afraid as I was, afraid of what happens next. The newspaper article appeared on Wednesday. "Millionaire father abandons pregnant daughter-in-law," the headline screamed. The reporter had done their homework, including photos of the Manhattan penthouse, details about Thorne Architectural Hardware, and a sob story from Chloe about how she and Leo had been blindsided by my cruel and unusual punishment over a minor misunderstanding. They had left out the part about the birthday text. They had left out the part about Leo never working. They had left out pretty much everything that mattered. My phone started ringing off the hook with calls from business associates, old friends, and people I had not heard from in years. Everyone wanted to know my side of the story. I did not give them one. David called at 10 a.m. "Have you seen the article?" "I have seen it. We need to respond. This is damaging your reputation. People are calling you heartless. Let them." Elias. "David, I am 69 years old. I have spent my entire life building a business and a reputation based on quality work and fair dealing. If people want to believe a tabloid hit piece over 40 years of evidence, that is their problem, not mine. The board is concerned. They are worried about the company's image." That made me pause. Thorne Architectural Hardware was not just my legacy. It was the work of hundreds of employees, many of whom had been with me for decades. I would not let Leo's drama hurt them. "Schedule a board meeting for Friday," I said. "I will address their concerns in person. Thank you." I hung up and made myself a sandwich. Turkey and Swiss on rye, with brown mustard, the way Eleanor used to make them. I ate it in the breakfast nook, looking out at the garden. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, another one of Leo's burner phones, probably. "You are ruining our lives. I hope you are happy." I deleted it without responding. That afternoon, I did something I had been putting off for 2 years. I went into Eleanor's office. She had claimed the smallest bedroom in the house, the one with the best natural light, and turned it into her sanctuary. Watercolor paintings covered the walls. Bookshelves overflowed with art books and novels. Her desk sat by the window, facing the garden she had loved. Everything was exactly as she had left it. I had not been able to bring myself to change anything. I sat in her chair and opened her journal. She had kept one every day for 30 years, filling page after page with her elegant handwriting. I flipped to the last entry, dated 3 days before the heart attack that took her from me. "Leo called today. He wants us to co-sign on a loan for a vacation property in the Hamptons. I told him no. Elias will probably override me like he always does, but I am tired of watching our son turn into a stranger. He used to be such a sweet boy. Where did we go wrong?" I closed the journal and sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. She had known. Eleanor had known what Leo was becoming, and she had tried to warn me, and I had ignored her because I did not want to admit that our son was broken. "I am sorry," I said to the empty room. "I am fixing it now. I know it is too late, but I am trying." The room did not answer. I had not expected it to. The board meeting was tense. 12 executives sat around the conference table at Thorne Architectural Hardware's headquarters in Hartford, their expressions ranging from concerned to openly hostile. Jack Pemberton, the CFO and the closest thing I had to a rival on the board, led the charge. "This situation with your son is becoming a liability," he said. "We have clients asking questions. We have employees worried about the company's stability. And we have a PR nightmare that is not going away." "The situation with my son is personal," I said. "It has nothing to do with this company's operations or financial health." That is not how the public sees it. They see a heartless millionaire throwing his pregnant daughter-in-law out on the street. That is not the image we want associated with Thorne Hardware. "Then perhaps we should tell the truth." "The truth?" Jack leaned forward. "Please, enlighten us." I pulled out a folder David had prepared. Inside were bank statements, trust documents, and a detailed accounting of every dollar Leo and Chloe had spent over the past 5 years. The truth is that my son is 32 years old and has never held a job longer than 6 months. The truth is that he and his wife have spent over $2 million of trust fund money in the past 5 years alone on vacations, luxury goods, and real estate they cannot afford. The truth is that when my wife died, he showed up to her funeral late because he was buying a boat. The truth is that on my 69th birthday, my son told me to stop messaging him, and his wife liked the message, and that was the only communication I received from them that day. I slid the folder across the table. The truth is that I am tired of subsidizing his failure to become an adult. If the board wants to fire me over that, I will understand. But I will not apologize for finally doing what I should have done years ago. The room went silent. Several board members flipped through the documents. Jack's face had gone pale. "I had no idea," said Teresa Wang, the VP of Operations. "The article made it sound like you cut them off without warning over nothing. Because that is the story they wanted to tell. The story that makes them victims and me, the villain." "Why did you not defend yourself publicly?" Jack asked. "Because my relationship with my son is not public business. Because I do not owe anyone an explanation for how I choose to manage my family's finances. And because I am not going to engage in a media circus to prove that I am not the monster they are painting me as." "That is admirable," Teresa said. "But Jack is right. This is hurting the company. We need some kind of statement." I nodded. "Then issue 1. Say that the company respects my privacy and personal matters, that Thorn Architectural Hardware remains financially sound and committed to excellence, and that no amount of tabloid speculation will change that. Keep it brief, keep it professional, and then move on." "Will that be enough?" Jack asked. "It will have to be." The meeting ended with a cautious agreement. The company would issue a neutral statement. I would keep a low profile until the media storm blew over, and everyone would focus on the business instead of my family drama. I drove home feeling older than I had in years. Saturday brought a surprise visitor. I was working in the garden again, trying to coax the late-season roses into one more bloom, when a car pulled into the driveway. Not Leo's car. Not one I recognized. A woman in her 50s got out, wearing jeans and a sensible jacket. She looked familiar, but I could not place her. "Mr. Thorne, I am Karen Hoffman. I do not know if you remember me." The name clicked. Leo's kindergarten teacher. 8th grade English, actually, but yes. "What brings you here, Ms. Hoffman?" "I saw the article, and I wanted you to know that it is garbage." I blinked. "Excuse me?" "The article. The narrative about the cruel father. It is complete garbage, and I know it because I taught Leo for a year. I saw how he treated other kids. I saw how he behaved when he did not get his way. And I remember the parent-teacher conferences where you and your wife were the only ones who seemed to care about actually helping him become a better person, instead of just excusing his behavior." I did not know what to say. "I am a teacher," Karen continued. "I have been doing this for 32 years. I have seen a lot of kids from wealthy families, and most of them turn out fine. But some of them, the ones whose parents never let them experience consequences, they turn into people like Leo, people who think the world owes them everything and gives back nothing." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I imagine you are second-guessing yourself, wondering if you are doing the right thing. And I wanted you to know that from where I stand, as someone who spent a year trying to teach your son basic empathy and respect, you are doing exactly the right thing. 20 years too late, maybe, but better late than never." She handed me a business card. "If you need a character witness, or if this goes to court and you need someone to testify about Leo's behavior, call me. I keep detailed records. Always have." She got back in her car and drove away before I could thank her. I stood there in the garden holding her business card, feeling something unfamiliar, It took me a moment to identify it. Relief. I was not crazy. I was not cruel. I was finally, after years of denial, holding my son accountable. That evening, I called David. Can we accelerate the scholarship fund? The one you are establishing with the trust assets? Yes, I want it operational by January. Full scholarships for business and industrial design students from low-income backgrounds. $50,000 per student per year. Priority given to first-generation college students. That is a substantial commitment, Elias. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything in my life. Eleanor and I always talked about giving back. We kept putting it off, saying we would do it later. Well, later is now. I will have the paperwork ready next week. Thank you, David. I hung up and poured myself a bourbon. Eleanor's bourbon. I raised the glass to her portrait on the mantel, the one painted 3 years before she died, when she was still strong and vibrant and full of life. This is for you, I said, and for all the kids who deserve a chance, the ones who will not waste it. The restaurant incident happened the following Tuesday. I heard about it from David, who heard about it from his secretary, whose daughter worked at a high-end steakhouse in Manhattan. Leo and Chloe had made a reservation, shown up in designer clothes, ordered extensively, and then had their credit cards declined. All 4 of them. They caused a scene, David said. Apparently, Leo insisted there must be a mistake, that his cards had 6-figure limits. The manager ran them multiple times. All declined. They ended up leaving without paying, and the restaurant called the police. Did they get arrested? No. Leo wrote them a check, which I am willing to bet will bounce. I should not have found it funny, but I did. What happens when the check bounces? The restaurant files a complaint, and Leo gets charged with theft of services. It is a misdemeanor, but it goes on his record. Good. Elias, you are enjoying this. Should I not be? He spent my money like it was water for years. Now he gets to learn what it is like when the well runs dry. Just remember, he is still your son. He stopped being my son when he told me to stop messaging him. Now he is just another spoiled man-child learning a hard lesson. David sighed. I hope you know what you are doing. So do I. That night I got an email from Leo. Not a text. An actual email which suggested he had run out of burner phones or money to buy them. The subject line was, "Please read." I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. Dad, I know you are angry. I know we hurt you. I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not even asking you to give us money. I just want you to know that I understand now. We are losing everything. The penthouse, the cars, our friends. Chloe's family will not even take her calls. We are sleeping on an air mattress in a studio apartment in Queens. I have never been so scared in my life. But I also understand why you did this. You tried to teach me this lesson 100 times, and I never listened. I thought I was entitled to everything because of whose son I was. I thought the money would always be there. I thought you would always bail me out. I was wrong. I do not know if we can fix this. I do not know if I can fix me, but I am trying. I got a job at a shipping warehouse. It pays $16 an hour. Chloe is working at a coffee shop. We are barely making rent. But we are making it. I am not asking you to take us back. I just wanted you to know that I finally get it. And I am sorry it took losing everything for me to figure it out. Your son, Leo. I read the email 3 times. Then I deleted it. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but because I knew that if I responded, if I gave him even the smallest opening, I would be right back where I started, enabling him, rescuing him, preventing him from truly learning the lesson he needed to learn. The hardest thing I had ever done was not cutting off Leo's access to the trust. It was not responding to that email. Winter came early that year. By mid-November, snow covered the Connecticut countryside, and I found myself spending more time indoors, working on plans for the scholarship fund. The Thorn Foundation, I had decided to call it. In memory of Eleanor. David and I met weekly to hammer out the details. Who would qualify? how the selection process would work, what kind of support we would provide beyond tuition, housing stipends, books, mentoring programs. "You are putting a lot of thought into this," David observed during one of our meetings. "It is the most important thing I will ever do," I said. "More important than the company. More important than the money. This will outlive me. This will change lives." Eleanor would be proud. I hope so. The media storm had died down. The article about the heartless millionaire had been replaced by other scandals, other outrages. I stopped checking my missed calls. I stopped looking at my phone every time it buzzed. I was letting go. One afternoon in December, I was reviewing applications for the Foundation's first cohort of scholarship recipients. 25 students would receive full support for their college education. 25 kids who reminded me of the person I had been at 18, hungry and determined and willing to work for everything I earned. One application stood out. A young woman from Bridgeport, daughter of a single mother who worked 2 jobs. She wanted to study industrial design. Her essay was about how architecture could transform communities, how good design could give people dignity and hope. She wrote like Eleanor used to paint, with passion, with vision. I approved her scholarship on the spot. That evening, I sat in Eleanor's office again, looking through her journals. I had been reading them chronologically, trying to understand what I had missed, what I had been too blind or too stubborn to see. An entry from Leo's 16th birthday. "He got angry today because we would not buy him the car he wanted. He said we were ruining his life. Elias gave in eventually. He always does. I am afraid we are raising a monster, but I do not know how to stop it without breaking Elias's heart. He loves that boy so much. Too much, maybe." Another entry from Leo's college graduation. "He finished with a 2.1 GPA. He did not even try. He spent 4 years partying and spending our money, and now he expects us to be proud. I am not proud. I am heartbroken. We failed him, or maybe he failed us. I do not know anymore." One from the week before she died. "I told Elias today that we need to cut Leo off. Really cut him off. Force him to grow up. Elias said we should give him one more chance. How many chances does one person get? I am tired, and I am angry, and I do not know how to fix this. I do not know if it can be fixed." I closed the journal and pressed my hands to my face. Eleanor had known. She had known everything I was finally figuring out, and I had refused to listen because I did not want to believe our son was broken. "I am sorry," I said again to the empty room. "I am so sorry I did not listen." Christmas came and went without contact from Leo. I spent the day alone, which was fine. I had spent last Christmas alone too, and the one before that. I made Eleanor's favorite dinner: roast chicken with herbs, garlic mashed potatoes, green beans with almonds, and I opened a bottle of wine, and I toasted her memory. It was quiet. It was peaceful. It was everything I needed. On New Year's Eve, David called. "The scholarship fund is official. The Thorn Foundation is operational as of January 1st. Congratulations, Elias. You have done something remarkable. We did it together. True, but it was your vision, your sacrifice. It was not a sacrifice. It was an investment in people who will actually appreciate it. Speaking of which, I have news. Leo and Chloe had their baby, a girl, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, born December 28th. I felt something twist in my chest. A granddaughter. Eleanor would have been over the moon. How do you know this? Leo's lawyer contacted me. They thought you might want to know. Did they ask for money? No. They just wanted you to know you are a grandfather. I sat down heavily. What is her name? Eleanor. They named her Eleanor. The room blurred for a moment. I blinked hard, willing myself to stay composed. Thank you for telling me. Elias, they are trying. Leo is working. Chloe is working. They are struggling, but they are making it. Maybe No. Elias. No, David. Naming their daughter after Eleanor does not erase what happened. It does not change the fact that they only cared about me when the money was flowing. If they want a relationship with me, they need to prove it over time. Years, not months. They need to show me that they have become people worth knowing. People Eleanor would have been proud of. And if they do? I was quiet for a long moment. Then we will see. But I am not holding my breath. Fair enough. Happy New Year, Elias. Happy New Year. I hung up and sat in the dark living room, watching the snow fall outside the windows. A granddaughter named Eleanor. I wondered if she had her grandmother's eyes. I wondered if she would grow up knowing about me, or if Leo would paint me as the villain in whatever story he told her. It did not matter. I had made my choice, and I was at peace with it. Spring brought the first scholarship recipients to Hartford. The Thorne Foundation hosted an orientation weekend in March, bringing all 25 students to the city to meet each other, tour local colleges, and attend workshops on financial literacy, time management, and goal setting. David had suggested we keep it simple, but I wanted these kids to know that someone believed in them, that their futures mattered. I met them all personally, shook their hands, learned their names, heard their stories. The young woman from Bridgeport, Sarah, reminded me so much of Eleanor it hurt. She had the same fierce determination, the same way of looking at the world like it was a puzzle she could solve if she just thought hard enough. "Thank you, Mr. Thorne," she said during the reception. "This scholarship, it changes everything. My mom cried for an hour when we found out. She never thought I would be able to go to college." "You earned it," I said. "The foundation just opened the door. You are the one who has to walk through it. I will not waste it. I promise. I know you will not." That night, after all the students had left, I sat in the conference room with David and the Foundation's board of directors. We reviewed the weekend, discussed the program's success, planned for the next cohort. "You should be proud," Teresa Wang said. She had joined the Foundation's board at my request, bringing her operational expertise. This is exactly the kind of thing Eleanor would have loved. "That is the idea. Have you heard from Leo?" she asked carefully. "No, and that is fine. He named his daughter after Eleanor." "I know. That has to mean something." I considered her words. It means he is learning to manipulate in more sophisticated ways. Or it means he is genuinely trying to honor his mother's memory. I do not know which, and I do not want to spend energy figuring it out. My focus is here now, on these students, on this foundation, on creating something that will last. Teresa nodded. I can respect that. We wrapped up the meeting, and I drove home through the spring rain. The house felt less empty now. I had a purpose beyond grief, beyond anger. The foundation gave structure to my days, meaning to my wealth. Eleanor's garden was coming back to life. I had hired a gardener to help maintain it, someone who understood her vision. The roses were budding, the perennials were pushing through the soil, everything was waking up. I was waking up too. The phone call came on a Tuesday in April. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. "Dad?" Leo's voice, older somehow, tired. "What do you want?" I wanted to hear your voice. I wanted to tell you that Eleanor is 3 months old now. She is beautiful, Dad. She has Mom's eyes." I closed my eyes. "Why are you calling me?" "Because you are my father. Because I miss you. Because I made terrible mistakes, and I am trying to do better, and I thought maybe... I do not know. Maybe enough time has passed. It has been 8 months. That is not enough time. How much time is enough? I do not know. But I will know it when I see it." There was a long silence. "I am not asking for money. I am not asking you to take us back. I just wanted you to know that I think about you every day. I think about all the things I took for granted, all the ways I failed you and Mom, and I am trying to be better. For Eleanor. I do not want her to grow up with a father like I became. Then be better. Actions, Leo, not words. Show me over time that you have actually changed. How do I do that if you will not talk to me? You do it by living your life with integrity, by working hard, by being a good father and a good husband, by becoming someone Eleanor would be proud to know. And if you manage to do that for a few years, then maybe we will talk again. A few years? You spent 32 years becoming the person you were. It will take time to become someone different. Another long silence. Okay, I understand. Good luck, Leo. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. I had not expected to feel anything, but talking to him had opened something I thought I had sealed shut. I poured myself a bourbon and sat in Eleanor's chair. Outside, the garden was in full bloom. Inside, I felt like I was still in winter. Maybe I always would be. Summer brought an unexpected letter. It arrived in June, handwritten on plain paper, forwarded through David's office. The return address was a studio apartment in Queens. I almost threw it away. But curiosity, that persistent demon, made me open it. Dear Elias, my name is Chloe Thorne. I am your daughter-in-law. Though I understand you may no longer think of me that way, I am not writing to ask for anything. I am writing because I owe you an apology, and I have been too proud and too scared to give it until now. When I met Leo, I thought I was marrying into a fairy tale. Money, status, a life without struggle. I did not think about what that money represented, your life's work, your sacrifice, your values. I just saw it as something I was entitled to because I had married your son. I was wrong about everything. The past year has been the hardest of my life. We have struggled. We have fought. There were times I wanted to leave Leo because I could not handle the shame and the fear. But something kept me here. Maybe it was Eleanor, our daughter. Maybe it was finally growing up. I got my real estate license last month. I am working at a small agency in Brooklyn. It is hard, and I am not very good at it yet, but I am learning. Leo is managing a warehouse now, making $23 an hour. We are still barely making it, but we are making it on our own. I liked that birthday text. You know that. It is probably the thing I am most ashamed of. I thought it was funny, this powerful man being needy and demanding attention. I did not think about the fact that you had lost your wife and were alone and hurting. I did not think about anything except my own selfish amusement. I am sorry. I know that does not fix anything. I know you have every reason to hate me. But I wanted you to know that I understand now what I could not understand then, that respect and gratitude are not things you withhold from people because it is convenient. They are things you give because you are a decent human being. I hope someday you will meet Eleanor. Not because we need anything from you, but because she deserves to know her grandfather. The man Leo tells me about. The one who built something from nothing, who loved his wife fiercely, who tried so hard to do right by his son, even when his son did not deserve it. That is the grandfather I want Eleanor to know. But I understand if that never happens. I understand that some mistakes do not get second chances. Take care of yourself, Chloe. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in Eleanor's desk drawer next to her journals. I did not respond, but I did not throw it away either. The first year of the Thorne Foundation exceeded every expectation. All 25 scholarship recipients maintained the required 3.0 GPA. 3 of them made the dean's list. 2 had already secured internships at major architectural firms. Sarah, the young woman from Bridgeport, had submitted a design to a national competition and placed in the top 10. You have created something extraordinary, David said during our annual review meeting in August. These kids are going to change the world. They were going to change the world anyway. We just gave them the tools to do it. Always so modest. Not modest, realistic. The foundation did not make them special. It just removed the obstacles that were keeping them from reaching their potential. We reviewed the financials. The trust's dissolution had funded the foundation generously enough to support scholarship programs for at least 50 years. After that, if the endowment was managed well, it could continue indefinitely. "Eleanor would be proud," David said again. "I hope so." That evening, I attended a foundation fundraiser at a gallery in Hartford. The event showcased work by scholarship recipients and local artists, with proceeds going to expand the program. The room buzzed with energy, with hope, with the kind of forward momentum that made my chest ache with something that might have been joy. Sarah's design was featured prominently. A mixed-use building concept for low-income housing that incorporated green spaces, community centers, and affordable retail. It was brilliant. Eleanor would have loved it. "Mr. Thorne?" A voice behind me. I turned to find a young man in a suit that did not quite fit. One of the scholarship recipients. James, I remembered. Computer science major. "James, good to see you. I wanted to thank you again. This program, it saved my life. I was going to have to drop out. My mom got sick, and we could not afford the tuition anymore. The foundation scholarship meant I could stay in school and help her with medical bills. How is your mother?" "Better. She is in remission now." "I am glad to hear it." "I am going to pay this forward someday," he said. "When I have my own company, I am going to create a scholarship program just like this one. Because nobody should have to choose between education and taking care of their family." I shook his hand. "That is exactly the right way to think about it." He moved on to talk to other donors, and I stood there in the gallery, surrounded by art and ambition and the future Eleanor and I had always dreamed about. I was not lonely anymore. I was part of something bigger than my own grief, bigger than my own anger. I was part of something that mattered. The email arrived in October, 18 months after I had blocked Leo's number. Subject line: "No expectations, just information. Dad, I am not going to ask how you are because I know you probably do not want to hear from me. But I wanted to tell you something because I think you deserve to know. I got promoted. I am managing the entire warehouse now. It is not glamorous, and it is not what you probably imagined for me, but I am good at it. I am good at managing people, at solving problems, at making sure things run smoothly. I am making $52,000 a year. Chloe is doing well in real estate. She closed 3 sales last month. We moved to a better apartment, 2 bedrooms. Nothing fancy, but it is ours, and we are paying for it ourselves. Eleanor is walking now. She says a few words. She laughs all the time. She's everything good in my life. I have been in therapy for 6 months, learning about the ways I was broken, the ways I broke other people. It is hard work, harder than anything I have ever done. But I am doing it because I do not want to be that person anymore. I know you probably do not care about any of this. I know I burned that bridge. But I wanted you to know anyway, because you taught me something important even though I did not understand it at the time. That the only things worth having are the things you earn yourself. I earned this life. It is small and it is difficult, and some days I am so tired I can barely stand. But it is mine. And that means more than all the trust fund money ever did. I hope you are well. Leo. I read the email once. Then I closed my laptop and went for a walk in the garden. The autumn colors reminded me of Eleanor. They always would. I walked the paths she had designed, past the roses she had planted, through the space that held her memory in every stone and petal. Was 18 months enough time? Had Leo actually changed, or was this just another manipulation? I did not know, and I was not sure I cared to find out. But for the first time since that birthday text, I felt something other than anger when I thought about my son. Not forgiveness, not exactly, but something softer, something that might eventually become acceptance. The call from David came in late November. "Elias, I have been approached by Leo's lawyer. They want to know if you would be willing to meet with Leo. Just coffee, no agenda, no requests." "Why now?" He did not say, but I get the sense that Leo is not looking for reconciliation. He is looking for closure. Those are different things. They are. I thought about it for a long time. Where? Wherever you want. The cemetery, where Eleanor is buried. If he wants to talk, we will talk there. That is a bit dramatic, Elias. That is the point. If he is serious about this, he will come. If not, then I will have my answer. David sighed. I will set it up. The meeting was scheduled for the first Saturday in December. I arrived early, parking near Eleanor's grave and walking the rest of the way. The cemetery was quiet, covered in a light dusting of snow. Her headstone was simple, elegant, exactly what she would have wanted. He wants to talk, I said to the stone. I do not know if I want to listen, but I am here. Tell me what to do. The stone did not answer, but the wind picked up, rustling through the bare trees, and I imagined Eleanor's voice in it. Listen, just listen. Leo arrived 15 minutes late. He looked different, thinner, harder, older than 33. He wore a sensible coat, work boots, jeans, no designer labels, no expensive watch. He stopped a few feet from Eleanor's grave and stood there, staring at the headstone. I am sorry I was late to the funeral, he said quietly. That is one of the things I regret most. I did not even say goodbye properly. You were buying a boat. I know, I remember. I remember being annoyed that the funeral was interfering with my plans. That is the person I was. He knelt down and touched the headstone. I am sorry, Mom. For everything. I watched him, looking for signs of manipulation, for the performance I expected. But all I saw was a man carrying a weight he was finally strong enough to bear. Why did you want to meet? I asked. Leo stood up, brushing snow off his jeans. Because I wanted you to know that I understand now. What you did, why you did it, and I wanted to say thank you. Thank you? For cutting me off, for forcing me to grow up, for refusing to enable me any longer. It was the hardest thing anyone has ever done to me. It was also the best thing. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. A little girl with dark curls and bright eyes, laughing at something off camera. That is Eleanor. She is 16 months old. She will never know the person I used to be. She will only know the person I am now. Someone who works hard, who earns what he has, who understands that respect is something you give, not something you take. I looked at the photo. My granddaughter, Eleanor's namesake. She is beautiful. She is, and she asks about her grandfather sometimes. I tell her that you are a good man who taught me important lessons. I tell her that maybe someday she will meet you. Maybe. I am not asking you for a relationship, Dad. I am not asking you for anything. I just wanted you to know that I am okay. We are okay. And you do not have to carry guilt about what you did, because it was exactly what I needed. He put the phone away. I should go. Chloe is working, and I have Eleanor at home. Wait, he turned back. How often do you come here, to visit your mother? Every Sunday. I bring Eleanor, I talk to Mom, I tell her about our week. It helps. I nodded slowly. Sunday mornings, 10 o'clock. If you are here, I might be here too. No promises, no expectations. But if we happen to be visiting at the same time, we can talk. Leo's eyes went bright. Okay. Yeah, that would be good. And Leo? Yes? Bring Eleanor next time. I would like to meet her. He smiled. A real smile, not the practiced one I remembered from before. I will. He walked away, and I stood there at Eleanor's grave, feeling something crack open inside my chest. Not my heart breaking. Something else. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe just the beginning of it. The first Sunday, I arrived at 10:15, half expecting Leo not to show. He was already there, standing by Eleanor's grave, with a little girl bundled up in a pink coat. She was playing in the snow, making shapes with her mittened hands. Dad, Leo said when he saw me. Not Father, not Mr. Thorne. just Dad. Leo. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then the little girl noticed me and toddled over, fearless in the way only toddlers can be. "Papa?" she said, looking up at me with Eleanor's eyes. My throat closed. "Not Papa. Grandpa." "Papa!" she said again, and reached up her arms. I picked her up. She was solid and warm and perfect. She touched my face with her mitten, curious, and then giggled when I made a surprised sound. "She likes you," Leo said quietly. "She does not know me well enough to dislike me yet. Give her time. She is stubborn, like her grandmother." We stood there in the snow, the three of us, and talked about small things. Eleanor's new words, Leo's promotion, Chloe's latest sale, the weather, nothing deep, nothing heavy. It was enough. Over the following months, Sunday mornings at 10 became routine. Sometimes Chloe came. Sometimes it was just Leo and Eleanor. We talked at Eleanor's grave, keeping her memory alive, slowly rebuilding something that looked like a relationship. I did not restore Leo's access to money. I did not bail them out when they struggled. But I answered his calls. I met my granddaughter. I showed up. That was all either of us could ask for. 2 years after I blocked Leo's number, the Thorn Foundation held its second annual scholarship ceremony. 50 students this time. The program had doubled in size. Sarah, the young woman from Bridgeport, was graduating with honors and had accepted a position at a prestigious architectural firm in Boston. She gave a speech at the ceremony that brought the entire room to tears. "Mr. Thorne believed in me when nobody else did," she said. "He gave me a chance to prove that where you come from does not determine where you can go. The Thorn Foundation is not just about money. It is about hope. It is about knowing that someone sees your potential and wants to help you reach it. I will spend the rest of my life trying to pay forward what was given to me." After the ceremony, I found Leo in the crowd. He had come with Chloe and Eleanor, dressed in their best clothes, looking proud to be there. "Thank you for inviting us," Leo said. "You are family. Of course I invited you." "I know, but after everything, you became someone worth knowing. That is what matters." Chloe stepped forward. "Mr. Thorne, I wanted to say something. I wrote you a letter last year. I do not know if you read it." "I read it. I meant every word, and I want you to know that I am grateful. Not just for Leo's sake, but for mine. You forced us both to grow up, to become better people, to earn our lives instead of just inheriting them." I nodded. "You both did the work. I just stopped preventing you from doing it." Eleanor tugged on my hand. "Papa, come see." She dragged me over to the student art display, pointing excitedly at a painting of a garden. It looked like Eleanor's garden. My Eleanor. The roses, the paths, the careful design. "Pretty," Eleanor said. "Yes, very pretty. Your grandmother would have loved it." We stood there, the 5 of us, me, Leo, Chloe, and 2 Eleanors, looking at a painting of a garden, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt something like peace. Not happiness, not exactly, but peace. The knowledge that I had done the right thing, even when it hurt, even when it felt impossible. Eleanor's voice seemed to whisper in my ear. Well done. Epilogue. 5 years later, I sat in my office at the Thorn Foundation headquarters, reviewing applications for the 6th cohort of scholarship recipients. The foundation now supported 200 students annually across 6 states. We had expanded into mentoring programs, internship placements, and alumni networks. Former scholarship recipients were starting their own foundations, creating their own opportunities for the next generation. It was everything Eleanor and I had dreamed of and more. My phone buzzed. A text from Leo. "Eleanor's school play is tonight. She is playing a tree. She insists you have to come because trees are very important, and Grandpa knows about important things. 7 p.m. at PS 84. Please?" I smiled and typed back, I will be there. I finished reviewing applications, approved 3 new scholarships, and then drove to Queens. The school auditorium was packed with parents and grandparents, everyone holding phones to record their children's big moments. I found Leo and Chloe in the crowd. They had saved me a seat. Chloe was 6 months pregnant with their second child. Leo had just been promoted to regional manager. They had bought a small house in a decent neighborhood. They were building a life. Eleanor came on stage wearing a brown costume with leaves glued to it, her face serious with concentration. She stood perfectly still during her scene, then waved enthusiastically at the audience when it was over. I waved back, feeling something warm expand in my chest. After the play, Eleanor ran over and threw herself into my arms. Did you see me, Grandpa? I was the best tree. You were magnificent, the best tree I have ever seen. Mommy says trees are important because they make oxygen and we need oxygen to breathe. Your mommy is very smart. She says you are smart too, and that you built things that last forever. I tried. Did you build me? I laughed. No, sweetheart, your parents built you. I just got lucky enough to be your grandpa. She thought about that for a moment. Okay, can we get ice cream? If your parents say it is okay. Leo and Chloe agreed, and we all went to a small ice cream shop near the school. Eleanor got chocolate. I got vanilla. We sat at a corner table and talked about the play, about school, about nothing important and everything that mattered. On the drive home, I thought about the man I had been 5 years ago. Angry, hurt, convinced that I had failed as a father, convinced that cutting off my son was an act of revenge. But it had not been revenge. It had been the first honest thing I had done in decades. It had been refusing to refusing to participate in Leo's self-destruction. And it had worked. Not because it had punished him, but because it had finally forced him to save himself. My phone rang. David. How was the play? She was a tree. A good tree? The best tree. David laughed. Good. Listen, I have the final numbers on the foundation's endowment. We are ahead of projections by 18%. At this rate, we could expand to 10 states within 2 years. Let's do it. You are sure? That is a significant commitment. Eleanor would want us to help as many people as possible. I am sure. Then we will make it happen. I hung up and pulled into my driveway. The house was dark, but the garden lights illuminated Eleanor's roses, still blooming in late spring. I sat in the car for a moment, looking at the house we had built together, the life we had shared. I did it, I said to the empty car. I did what you wanted. I stopped enabling him. I created something that matters. I hope you are proud. A light wind rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of roses. I took that as a yes. Inside, I poured myself a small bourbon and sat in Eleanor's chair. Her journals were on the side table. I had read them all multiple times now, learning from her wisdom, understanding her fears, appreciating her patience with me. I opened to a random page, an entry from 20 years ago when Leo was 12. I worry about the kind of man Leo will become, but I have faith that when the time comes, Elias will know what to do. He is a better father than he thinks he is, and a stronger man than he realizes. I closed the journal and sat in the quiet house, feeling Eleanor's presence in every corner. She had been right. When the time came, I had known what to do, and it had been enough.